Hi guys, Henry Horror here. With me always is the punk rock brother man, Mr. Johnny Noise.
What's going up, Nurse Channel? We have a great show for you tonight. I'll let Henry handle the introductions. Seatbelts on. It's going to be a wild ride.
All right, tonight's guest is a musician, an author, artist, all around, founding member of Creepersin. Will you please welcome to the show, Mr. Matt Wall? Thanks for being
What's up,
with us
brother?
today, man.
Thank you. That was good, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
We're good.
Really good. Hey, we're talking to you, man. Life is good.
Hey, I wish everyone fucking said that. That's amazing.
All right, so let's just jump right into this. So, musically, before we get into Creeperson, musically, who are you most influenced by?
Oh, shit. Well, I decided that I wanted to do shit after I saw the Motley Crue Kickstart My Heart video. And I'm like, I have to be Nikki Six. Like, how the fuck am I not Nikki Six? Like, this is the greatest. I was in sixth grade and I was just like, that motherfucker is cool as shit. And I wanted that. And it was just weird. And then, like, I don't know, growing up out here and like watching like Decline of Western Civilization and Suburbia, and like my sister was older than me, so like the people she hung out with, they were like going to see and like hanging out with like Black Flag and the Circle Jerks and Social Distortion
Oh,
and
cool.
X and all these people. So they would like talk about all these people like they were like just normal fucking people. And so like hearing all of that, and then as soon as I was of age to be able to get out of the house without anyone knowing and going to the Sunset Strip and like seeing all the fucking like hair metal shit that was happening, and just like seeing all those bands that like within like 3 minutes would be on MTV, like it was weird. It was like everything was right there, and it was so realistic. So that probably fucked me like mentally into thinking that I should never have a normal job and I should be like an artist of some kind, because I was visibly seeing like people who were nothing and then suddenly something. That fucks with your head as a kid. It makes you think you could do that.
Right, right.
So that was pretty weird. But the LA punk scene, like especially like the early 80s scene, was really like a huge influence on me. Like knowing all the clubs and knowing all the places, and just being a part of it and seeing fucking like all those Pettibone fucking flyers, like being that entrenched and all that shit was like huge. But honestly, for before Creeperson, I mean, I was in punk bands and ska bands, and because like growing up in Orange County, like when the ska thing fucking blew up, like all the punk bands started playing that, or they went hardcore and started doing like super hardcore, like Strife and Earth Crisis and shit like that. So you had either the Aquabats show or fucking like Strife or Focused or Unashamed, or like all these like super hardcore bands and shit. And but I honestly I just wanted to fucking be Johnny Cash like at that point. And
Damn.
I was doing like acoustic shows, and like I would go to the country bars and shit with like my nails painted and makeup on and an acoustic guitar and shit, and they would be like, yeah, like you're way too goth to be playing here. And then I would go to like the punk clubs and try to play, and they're like, you're too country to be here. And it was just shit. And I was just doing like a bunch of like Misfits covers and Cramps covers, like all country sounding and shit. And then I had this gig at this one bar in Huntington Beach that was like a monthly thing. And I was like hosting a bunch of open mic nights and shit. And the guy's like, hey, we're having a Halloween show. Can you put a band together for the Halloween show? And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And so I had like a month to put a band together, and that ended up being the Rise of Creepersin album, like that set.
Sweet.
And that happened in 2004. So that's how all that fucking happened. So that was a long story to get to what you asked, but like Misfits for sure, Black Flag, the
AOD,
Ramones, obviously, and the Smiths. Like a lot of people don't catch it, but like the Rise of Creepersin album and the whole Creepersin idea was to take like the Misfits and the Ramones and like 45 Grave and like do it as if Morrissey was going to do it and how that would sound. And so that's why like when like Rue Morgue was like writing reviews of our shit, they're like, yeah, it sounded like Danzig got slipped a Mickey at the karaoke bar and shit like
that. Nice. Nice.
So yeah, that's how all that shit went down.
So you ever do an acoustic version of Last Caress? I mean that's like a
totally. If you go,
oh my god, yeah.
Like if you go to like Astro Zombies and Mommy Can Go Out Golden Night were my two like Misfit covers acoustic that I would do.
Acoustic. Wow.
Oh, but if you go to on Spotify, I'm sure it's on all the other streaming things, but I don't subscribe to them, so I don't know them. But on Spotify under Matt Wall, I have an album called The 31 Days of Halloween, and I was releasing a single every day one year when I was on tour. And I did the first, I think, 3 Creepersin albums acoustic.
Okay.
On that. But I think there's actually some covers. I think it's on Bandcamp. The ones where I do Misfit covers and shit.
Yeah.
I'm not 100%, but I think that's where that is. But
cool. Wow. Quite the journey, man. That's yeah. I think there's definitely a difference between, say the New York CBGB's, Max's Kansas City kind of punk scene, and then the California punk scene. There was definitely some differences in how it went down.
California punk scene was so different in so many different places. Like the Orange County punk scene was just a bunch of like meatheads that wanted to beat the shit out of everybody because they hated fucking their suburban life and they hated their fucking parents and they hated all this shit.
Right.
The shows to beat the shit out of people. And the LA punk scene was like so much more like chill and just like people trying to just get out of the house and have a good time. And then the San Francisco punk scene was like a completely different thing. Like you had like the Cramps and shit, like doing stuff. It was just like a completely different thing. But when you look at like when LA, you had like X like killing it every fucking night they played, and then down the street you had like down the freeway like 20 minutes you had like TSOL and the Vandals like fucking like causing riots and shit every fucking 5 minutes,
Yeah.
Like it was like a different, like the scenes were so different.
Yeah.
Orange County people, there's a documentary, can't remember what it's called, but there's a documentary that talks about how fans from Orange County going to LA County to shows like destroyed like the punk scene. It's fucking crazy. I can't remember the name of it.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. Just search.
Yeah. I don't know, if things got that kind of out of hand. We had a lot of stage diving, slam dancing, and and stuff like that, and it got a little pushy here and there. I don't think it was as, from what I could recall anyway, You
Well, the
know,
thing that I really dig about the New York punk scene, especially from the 70s moving into the 80s, was just how art focused it was and how it wasn't like based on like your song has to be 4/4 and just like
right.
it
Yeah,
was like it could be anything,
right.
you know,
Yeah,
and it was just such a forgiving, but like people were going for the art more than they were going for like how fast can this song be and how many people can I punch in the face while the song's going on? You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Good, good West Coast punk fun.
Yeah,
Getting
but the
railed
New
in the
York
face.
hardcore scene was a completely different thing. So let's not
Yeah.
get
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was. It was.
yeah, for real.
Definitely had our moments. You know. Well, you look at like Wendy O. Williams and stuff and the crazy shit she
Oh,
did. You
yeah,
know, chain someone's shit on stage and blowing up shit. It's like what the
totally.
and people went out to go see them. They were just so off the wall. But she would just come out with like a thong and fucking whipped cream on her breast, and that was it.
Yeah, dude.
So it was like what the So of course it drew crowds.
Yeah, dude.
What's this person gonna do? Because she was a force. She was a
God, that
force to
first
be reckoned.
Plasmatics album is so fucking good, dude.
But
What's
yeah,
your baby? What's your baby? And all that stuff. Like, it was crazy. It's crazy. You know.
and you know what the crazy thing about that is that all that insanity. I mean, like when Neil Williams and the Plasmatics, they're- that's about as real as you can get. But the crazy thing that I thought about, and I didn't know this until recently, the Plasmatics were actually on solid gold. That's the level of popularity that they got to. And she
Wow.
would,
Yeah.
she would, she would come out later on television shows, and she'd come out with the chainsaw, and
Yeah.
they'd have something there, and she'd chainsaw through it, and you know,
Well, it's just like Fear was on Saturday Night Live and fucking X got signed to fucking what fucking record label were they on? Like they were legit, dude. Like everything was really legit until it wasn't. And then everyone's like, "Whoa.
Yeah.
We got to pull this back a little bit."
Hmm. It was different times back in the late '70s, early '80s for sure. Different world, different vibe, um, all the way around musically. What we did, uh, uh, just in how you presented yourself, what you did personally. Punk, the whole punk thing was, it it meant something a little different, I think, to everybody. But you know, I got caught up in it like everybody else.
Yeah.
Right from junior high school, I'm being sent home for inappropriate attire. So
Really.
it's
Yeah,
like
man.
take that shit off. Oh, sorry. And
Yeah.
but it was just a way to act out and
Express
be,
yourself, dude.
yeah. You walk around with a Sex Pistols T-shirt and a dog collar and a fucking big safety pin from a laundry
Yeah.
mat around your fucking neck, and you're going home.
Yeah, man.
But it's just something you did.
For real.
So yeah, it's definitely different. I'm glad I grew up where there was no social media because holy shit.
Dude, do you realize what a
Oh
fucking
my
like
god. You can make you
weird
imagine
life
that
we
shit?
have that we had no social media and then social
Nothing.
media? Like we were like
Yeah.
that weird bubble that was like both.
Right.
Dude.
Well, you know what though? It allows us to do a comparison. Because people that never had a period where there wasn't social media have no idea how life was prior to. So we can look at it and say, okay, these are some good parts about not having social media. This is, vice versa, because we lived it. We, didn't have to worry about.
Do you remember how hard it was to like find certain records? You're like
Yeah,
going to all
yeah,
these different stores, and then you would see some dude with like a shirt from a band you like that you've never seen like in a place anywhere, and you're like, where the fuck did you get that? And then
yeah, yeah.
you end up jumping the fucking dude and taking the shirt, and then
Taking a
feeling
shit.
bad about it.
yeah. With me, what I tell people is TDK and blank tapes and a dual cassette recorder was your internet back then. because I was always the kid that was I didn't always have the money to go out and get cassettes left and right and everything. So whenever I did, I was always the guy that had the blank tapes, and I would borrow tapes from my friends and do the high speed dubbing thing, and that's how I got my copy. But luckily, my parents were cool to the extent that after a while, if you know I didn't get in trouble in school, or I brought home a good report card, or I did chores or whatever that weekend when I went out somewhere, I'd always come home with like Earth AD or something, or some kind of album, and yeah, I mean that happened eventually, but at first it was all TDK, man, TDK, and let me borrow
TDK.
that tape.
Yeah.
Like when I was in high school, now this is just sounding like the old fucking dude podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the day, yeah.
Back in the day, like I couldn't afford to fucking go to shows all the time, but there were shows all the fucking time. So like I would make zines and I would go to shows and like try to get in free because I was a journalist and I had my little tape recorder and my fucking disposable camera. And I would go in and like interview bands or interview people at the thing and then go to Kinko's and be at Kinko's all night, like making fucking copies of this fucking thing that I could sell out of my backpack in line to hopefully make from the show from last week, hopefully making enough money to be able to get in to go to the show this week and do the whole thing fucking all over again.
Wow.
And then you end up being like a band slut and being in 15 fucking bands so you could go to as many shows as possible and do the whole thing all over again, and you're selling zines and fucking cassette demos out of your fucking backpack.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's like a totally different, like even in like 2006, it was like a fucking different fucking world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's wild. It's so fucking wild.
It is. And now one click of a button and you get instant gratification. There's no
anything you want, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane. But I think it takes away from that anticipation.
Yeah.
Like we used to go to New York to Bleecker Bob's and then Trash and Vaudeville and all these places, for clothes and albums or records, whatever the fuck it is. And there was that anticipation. Okay, we're gonna grab the fucking bus, go down to the Bleecker Bob's and surf through their record collection and come up with a 4 or 5. Now it's like click right from your there's no effort almost involved in stuff anymore. There's nothing.
There's no, because like it's the hunt, dude. That's what makes
that's the best part of the whole fucking thing is the hunt.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that made like the Misfits, since I'm like looking at all your guys' cool ass shit behind you guys, but like with the Misfits in particular, one of the things that made that really fucking fun for me is in the like 2000s, like when eBay like took off and shit, and you're like, oh my god, I have to find the pink vinyl of Legacy of Brutality. Like there were only 16 of those made. I have to have one of those. And it's like you start like searching for like these ridiculous small run vinyl pressings of shit, and then that's like the whole thing all over again.
Yeah.
So, for real, dude. Oh my god, that was a fun time, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Let's we'll go back to the future now. pun and fucking intended on that one. I'm sure everybody's got other questions that will lead us on to another path of.
So, speaking of the punk scene and the DIY thing, so with Creepersin, was that pretty much? You said it started for a Halloween show, but after that, did you pretty much self finance that? Did you have independent label backing? I mean, how did you guys put out a number of releases? So
yeah,
I'm just curious about that.
On that first show we had, because as far as like a show goes, if you're going to go that route, I was always into putting on like a big show. Like the show itself had to be fucking huge to get people to come outside. And so we had the first thing we put out was a Bleed for Me single with Last House on the back of it. And we did that for that first show. And then a couple months later, we did the following preview as Rated R, which had Bleed for Me, Last House, Plan 9, and Meet Me Out in the Sticks. And then the first album came out in May of the next year. So it was like everything was really fast. And the thing we did, we had dancers and shit, like girls was just wearing like Creepersin stickers over their nipples and like thongs and shit. And they had like fake like cleavers, and there was just blood on everything, and it was just like a big fun show. And we would throw toilet paper, and the crowd would be throwing toilet paper. But the big thing was glow sticks. We had like, because we were like all like neon green and shit. And what happened on that first show was the girls started like hooking up on stage, and then one of them, and she totally was okay with this wasn't like a non-consensual thing, but she like bent over the stage and was like letting people in the crowd with the glow sticks.
Oh, okay.
And so that got us banned from that club. But the word got out really quick that our shows were crazy because of shit like that. So we started playing like every weekend, but it was also, we were getting banned from every place we were playing. So it was like, it was cool that people were interested, but we were running out of places to play. So almost immediately we started touring. So we were going from like, we did like Bakersfield to Chico, like, I don't know how many times that first year, but that was kind of like the only thing we can do. And then every once in a while, we'd find a club in LA or a club in Orange County that didn't know exactly what was going on, or play like parties and shit. And so that first year, that's all we did. But I can't remember the exact question as to why that happened, but that was basically how that went.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, there were fun shows.
Crazy.
Dude.
Oh, sure.
But it was all about the Alice Cooper, like Marilyn Manson, like idea of putting on a shocking show, like Rammstein, the whole fucking thing. Like, if the show wasn't bigger than the album, don't put on the show and just sit at home and listen to the album. So everything was about the spectacle if we were going to do anything live. And then we did a live album on Cinco de Mayo in 2005. And that was never really released. It got out, but it was never like officially released. But we ended up doing an EP, La Tuvrada Creepersin, with some of the new songs that would end up being on Faster Creepersin Kill Kill from that. And God, listening to those, it's like, I'm like, fuck, I was so fucking wasted. Like, this is so ridiculous.
Crazy times. It's definitely, yeah. You know, some people just don't live. they live in a bubble. And then there's others that are like, you haven't played with a glow stick yet. You haven't seen shit. Come on out to the show. Holy shit!
Fuck, dude. Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But no, if it wasn't for Die Monster Die and Shane at World Horror Network, like, I don't know, like, what we would have done. So to answer your question, once we started putting out all that shit, we just made our own label. So Creepsville Entertainment was like Creeperson's like record label, because there wasn't really anything on the West Coast for
Mm-hmm.
what we were doing, other than like if you go like either goth, like there were a couple goth labels you could get on. There were some labels putting out psychobilly shit, and then there were labels putting out like death metal shit. And every time we played a show, because there wasn't a huge horror punk scene out here, or even like a dark wave scene, it was like you're either playing with death metal bands, you're playing with psychobilly bands, or that was basically it. Like most of the shows we played, we were the only band that was like us. And so it felt really isolating that we couldn't find anything here. But that's why I was talking about MySpace was so great, because just like networking with other bands and
Yeah.
being able to tour and like do all this shit, like MySpace was the greatest thing that ever happened for us.
Right. I gotcha. Yeah. It's some wild ride. Definitely a wild ride, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's definitely good to. It was good to have something like that that was a hub, because that does make all your connections that way, and
Yeah,
you
for
know
real.
maybe what's not going on for the band in that area where you're at, but someplace up in you know Idaho, hey, they got a scene there, and they want to see you, and they want to they want to hear you, or whatnot, and then that goes, yeah, it's good to
And
have
it's
a hub
weird
and get
too, because
connected.
like there were like we did a few little things with like Rick Agnew and Dinah Cancer, like when they got like 45 Grave back together. There was this weird period where it was like Penis Flytrap, then Dinah Cancer and the Gravediggers, and then like the new 45 Grave and shit like that. And so there was like this weird period where that was kind of cool. And then there was this period where we were doing shit with Eva O from Christian Death. And that was kind of okay, but it was still like leaning more into the goth kind of stuff, which is fine. But it was just the thing that was different about, and I'm sure you guys know how this is like, but there was a period when you would go to a show, and you would stay for the whole show. In LA, the thing is like you go to a show to see the band that you went to see, and then you leave. And if the bands aren't similar or they don't fall together, like motherfuckers split. Like when
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
there for that. So it was just like it was just a weird time, dude. It was a weird time. So when we would play outside of LA and outside of Orange County, it was fine. But playing in like LA and Orange County, it was like fucking weird.
Yeah. That happens. That kind of happens here. Where there'll be one of the bands will be super popular, and so you have to look at your lineup too. Well, I do anyway. If I know these people are gonna, all these kids are gonna come see this one particular band, I'm not gonna headline. I'm gonna go on in the middle. I'm damn sure I'm not gonna start.
Yeah.
Let a couple bands come on, do their thing. You catch it right in the middle when all the motherfuckers are starting to trickle in for their favorite band, but they gotta get through me first. Now I got your attention.
Real.
And if you bring it, which we did, I had a really killer, female singer. We brought it, and that's how things started clicking, because those people were there to see this particular band, but then we gave them a fucking earful of our stuff, and it kind of worked out. But I would get,
it was always good to have the dancers. Like if you have them walking around with
Yeah.
Creepersin stickers on their nipples for the whole
Yeah.
show, that people stick around.
I'm sure of that. Yeah, I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
It's it gets crazy. We did that in Macon, not that to that extreme, but had a couple of kids dancing around on the stage and whatever, just whatever to one of the songs we did. But it's just one of those things where visually you have to bring it. You know,
For
if you
real.
stand, people stand there like this and they play their songs, and they can have really good music, you
Yeah.
know, but it's so static, you know.
Mhm.
So you have to bring something to the table other than just your music.
Yeah.
And I try to impress that upon somebody. Look, so you gotta have some kind of something going on here.
For
You know what I
real.
mean? Don't look like a fucking petrified forest playing a guitar. You know, you gotta you
Like
gotta move.
you don't have to be Guar, but you should try.
No, right. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was always the thing, man.
you
Yeah,
don't have to you don't have to perform an abortion with a chainsaw. That goes a bit
yeah.
far.
There,
Yeah.
the last show I went to was Nosferatu Fest in Austin last week, and I went because our buddies from Plan 9 were headlining, and we actually had Scary Only on as a guest a few weeks beforehand. And he's like, yeah, at the time, I think it was at the time of the interview, I think he said it was up in the air, but it was looking like pretty good that they were going to headline. And he got a hold of me and said, hey, well, we're going to be in Austin that first night of Nosferatu Fest. I said, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go check you out. And I was thinking, well, shit, are they going to headline or what? I didn't actually find out that they were headlining until I got to the show.
Yeah.
So they had a couple of other acts. They had a sideshow performer and two burlesque dancers that went on. One went on before the first band played, and then in between they had the burlesque dancer. So it was a show. I was entertained. But
Yeah.
the first band that went on were the Necrotones from Houston, and I think I had heard maybe one or two songs from them on YouTube before, but they were fairly new. I think their first release just dropped like last year on Halloween, I think.
Yeah.
And
How long has Plan 9
huh?
been doing it? How long has Plan 9 been together?
Oh, a long time.
A
Yeah,
Uh,
while. Yeah.
it's been
I think
crazy.
since the late '90s.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
so amazing. Good for them, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like
um, yeah.
we we had a bit of like tragedy, I guess is the best way to put it. Like our bass player got into a car accident and broke his back and couldn't hold the bass anymore. And we were trying to figure out how to continue on. And then during all of this time, our guitar player, Gary, kept having strokes and he wasn't telling us. Like, we had no idea that any of this was going on. And
Wow.
then we found out after we like kind of lost touch because like we didn't hear from him for months and months and didn't know what the fuck was happening. And the studio that we had actually in Anaheim um, got taken over because he wasn't paying the bill on it. And so all of our equipment, all of our recordings, all of our everything, just like I have no idea where it is. Like we had like maybe like two or three other albums recorded that hadn't come out yet, that are gone. And Gary reached out to me a few years ago. And when I was talking to him, I didn't even recognize him. Like he was so far gone.
Wow.
And we were supposed to get back together and try to work on something. And I just never heard from him again. And it's been like at least 4 or 5 years. And like me and D, the bass player, we have like, we assume that he's no longer with us and we just don't know like what happened. But yeah, so that's kind of why Creepersins never really done anything else because I just everything was so up in the air. I don't know what happened. And like I kept toying with like either putting out the rough mixes of the shit we had already been recording or starting a new sorry, motorcycle, starting a new version of Creeperson, but like
Mm.
I feel weird about it. So I don't know. Like I didn't mean to get all fucking dark and shit, but like no, that's
Yeah.
kind of the trajectory of what's been happening. So
Wow. And sometimes you have to make the tough decision. Do you want to push forward and just go? That's an internal thing you got to kind of struggle with and see, what you want to do.
yeah, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I miss playing so much. Like I miss performing. I miss
Yeah.
the whole thing. But it just I don't know. Like everything but I miss it. I miss it so much.
It's something that I know for myself as well. It's such a draw, or I call it a drug. Performing live is like a drug,
Yeah.
and it's no different than an alcoholic or a drug. In my opinion, because it's something about it. It's all the prep, anticipation. It's the show. It's the after show. It's everything that just brings you on this ride. Beats the shit out of you. Because you're running from like 12 noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and by the time you wrap up some of the venues, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. You know what I mean? And you are hitting it hard with all the stuff going on, and that's it's just so much stuff that comes at you, adrenaline wise, that for me anyway, and trust me, and you feel the crash the next day because we're not 21 years old anymore, because you definitely come home like, what the fuck just happened? But it is. It's something that I personally can't let go of.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's just one music project after another. Music just keep going, and
Yeah,
it's just
the last music thing I did that like did hard was I did a acoustic tour across the country in 2016. And the problem is when you go from being with a band and then you do a solo thing, like you have no one to talk to after the show. Like, oh, how was
yeah,
that? Was that
right,
good? Was that
right,
good? Was that all right? And you're so everything's internalized
right.
and it's so heavy. And it's just like that's a bitch. And then on top of that, like being on the West Coast, like you have to drive 8 to 14 hours in between cities, whereas like when you're east of the Mississippi, everything's like a 4 hour drive, a 3 hour drive, and you're like, oh, that's easy. I can fucking do that in my
You
sleep.
can do that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said, it's something that grabs a hold of you. This the whole music thing altogether. I mean, Henry knows as well. He plays, and you can't. It never stops.
Yeah,
It's like a rat on the wheel. You just keep on going.
totally. I
Definitely.
mean, our last show was at the Whiskey A Go Go right around Halloween in 2014 with Wednesday 13. So it was like a good show. And
Yeah,
like there's a part of me that's like that ended on a really fucking good note. If that's how it ends, that's fine. But like there's this part of me that keeps going like, yeah, I'll probably do another album. Like we'll probably
yeah,
do something
Yeah.
again.
There's always that next chapter if you want it.
For real.
Yeah, because there's these things that are they're happening for me, and every time it starts to like look like it's gonna start to get going, something happens, and it's like, "Oh, I'm not giving up. I'm gonna still push for this. It may take me a little bit longer to get there, but I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
And
I didn't mean to make this super downer. I'm really sorry, guys.
No, it's
no,
like
it's
this is
okay.
probably one of the fucking like this is like the deepest one of the deepest conversations we've had. I think this is we're delving into the fucking not just some of the stuff we've had has been kind of
Not
lighthearted,
just
whatever,
fucking
but
glow
it's
sticks.
this fucking yeah. Well, besides the glow sticks, yeah, we'll I'll be locking my doors tonight. No glow sticks, please. But yeah, so it's just a wild, it's just wild stuff, and so I mean, me personally, I look at a way I would look at a way to move forward and do something.
Yeah, well, if anyone's in the LA area and you guys want to play Creeperson songs, let me know.
Come on, bring it on,
Bring
people.
it on,
That's
guys.
what I'm talking about. Yeah, definitely. Henry, you got some other questions? We're steering a different direction. And
Yeah, dude, like fix
what
this.
you got, man? Fix this. There's probably there's probably people fucking cutting their wrists right now, going, "Fuck these fuckers!" Oh!
Well, let me get back to the Nosferatu Fest real quick, because
Oh yeah.
I promise you there's a point to it, other than it was a really badass show. We were there to see, of course, we were there to see Plan 9, and they ended up headlining. Um, but they had the sideshow entertainer and the two burlesque dancers in between. And this band from Houston came out called the Necrotones, and they were a horror punk band. And they were fairly new. I think they had just dropped their first release in Halloween of last year. And they came out and they had like this big skull on the stage, and they had a regular old school TV, with the box in the back of it and everything. And they had all these footage of horror movies cut together. And they played all these songs, and their CD was called Graveyard Tales. So these the lead singer had his face done up like a skull and a leather jacket and all, and they just came out and totally kicked ass. And then the second band that went on was called the Hates, and they were from Houston, Texas, also. And apparently they've been around for a long time. Their front man, Christian Kidd, has been in the Houston punk scene since like 77 or 78.
Fuck, dude.
And
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah.
when he walked in the door, and I didn't know who he was at the time, but when he walked in the door, he walked in carrying a gig bag, and he had this big, I want to say about maybe a 3 foot mohawk. And you can tell he was an older gentleman. But when he walked in the door and I saw him, I was like, okay, this guy's been somewhere. He's got to be in one of the bands. And lo and behold, yeah, okay, he was the front man and the founding member of the Hates. And they came out, and he, at some point during the show, more towards the end of the show, he had one of those harmonica things that you put on, and they were playing these punk rock songs that infused harmonica, and it just sounded so wild, man. And then of course, Plan 9 came out and headline, and just everybody that left, everybody that was there just had this big smile on their face when they left. And of course, in between the bands, I introduced myself to both bands, and I was probably the only cat there wearing a Henry Horror Channel T-shirt. So I introduced myself and let them know who I was, and asked both bands if they wanted to be on the show sometime, and they both said yes. So it's another way of going back to that thing about making connections and having a hug.
Yeah.
That's the point
Yeah.
I'm trying to make with all that.
Yeah.
But one question that I do have, getting back to the main thing, uh, you are also, Matt, involved in film. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when Creepsville Entertainment started doing shit and I started like signing other bands and doing shit, I was making music videos for the bands. And I didn't really think anything like crazy would happen from it. But then the distributor we got to put out the albums and shit like that also did like horror movie distribution. And they're like, hey, would you want to put together a compilation of music videos that you did? And so we did that. And then they were like, hey, would you want to like have any of the bands on the label do any of the music for the movies that we're putting out? And so we did that. And then they were like, hey, would any of the people in the bands that you have want to be in any of the movies that we're putting out. And so then we did that. And then they finally just said, hey, can you just make us a fucking movie? And I'm like, I guess so. Like,
Guess
sure.
so.
And
Wow.
they're like, can you just they're like, do a IP that already exists. So can you make a Frankenstein movie? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, fucking dream come true, right? And so I did a Frankenstein movie, and it was weird because it was like, and then the deal with that distributor like fell through. Like they I don't know what the fuck happened, but they like ceased to exist at that point. And but like the bug was already in me. Like I'm like, dude, making movies is easy as shit. Like that was so fun. Like we made a Frankenstein movie in a weekend and it cost me $15. You know,
Shit. Yeah.
like fuck, I could do this every fucking weekend. And so I started doing that, and then Creeperson started doing the soundtracks for the movies I was making and shit. And the thing that happened that was weird was Walmart, when we had the Frankenstein movie, bought and this is when we went to MVD as far as like our distribution went. Walmart bought like, I can't remember what the number was. It was a fucking stupid number. It was like 6,000 or 8,000 units of the DVD for Frankenstein. And because it's a known property and they thought they could sell a bunch of them. And so we're like, cool. And so MVD was ordering like me to do like a movie and a music release every month from the label and shit. So we
Wow.
were doing that. And then like 3 or 4 months later, the returns came in from Walmart. And it was like they wanted to return like 4,000 units of the Frankenstein movie.
Holy shit. Yeah.
It's like, what? Like, I'm like, so what does that mean? And they're like, well, we either have to pay for it or they're going to like put it in like a dollar bin and shit. And I don't know exactly how the breakdown worked with the distributor, like when they would like put them on hard sales. But that's when I found out that like Walmart and places like Walmart were the reason why a lot of the like film distributors from like the late 90s and shit went out of business, because they would get like these big fucking checks from Walmart, like Tempe Video and like shit like that. Like they would get these big checks from Walmart, and then the next month Walmart would say, now you got to give us all that money back, because like I know we bought all these but we didn't sell them, so now we want the money back and we want to give you guys the product back.
Wow.
And when you're dealing with big companies like that, like you can't really do a whole lot.
No, no, of course not.
So that's how the movie thing started. I don't know why I went down that road with it, but it was really good. And then for like the next like 8 years, I was just making movies like every month. It was like being like in LA made it a lot easier, obviously, but that was a very like amazing part of my career and life, and financially was really great and everything. And so a lot of the Creeperson shit kind of went on hold as far as like shows would go, because I was like working on that so much. And so most of the Creeperson shit was just doing like a song for a movie. And so like on Creeperson Reanimated, like half that album is songs that we did for other movies.
For a movie. Wow. Yeah.
So, but yeah.
It's wild. Speak about that, doing movies and or recording music, writing music, or and we have asked this question of other artists as well. With all the the AI type stuff. I'm sure there's good and there's bad about it. There's people that are like, well, it's all fake. There's people like, well, no, it enhances stuff. Or so what's your kind of your stance on that, or how do you feel about that as far as from an artistic point? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Does it make it sterile? Does, you push a button and fucking just make shit, and it's not, and it's
I
nobody.
mean, I guess you could, but like it's so easy for me to do things that I
Hmm.
don't know why I would do that. Like I'm sure there's other people who it takes them longer to do things, and so doing something like that would make it really easy. But like um when I was under the gun, like you have to make a movie in a weekend and this is how much money you have to make it. Just give us whatever you can do. Like that's how I learned. I didn't go to film school. I just knew like I had budgets and I had to come in under budget and I had to turn shit in on time in order to get the next job. And so with like I don't even know how people like I've heard people do it with music. Like there's this fucking dude that keeps sending, I won't say anything more about it, but like he
Yeah.
makes music with AI and like it's not even, he didn't write it, he didn't sing it, he didn't do anything. And it's just like, oh, that's a cool Nickelback song. Good job, dude. And
Right.
like,
Right.
I don't know how that works, but I mean, I guess anybody could do anything now, but like, it's
Yeah.
just shit from other shit.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not you, it's not your voice, it's not your soul, it's not anything, but like even with like writing and shit, like doing the poetry and doing the novels, like the AI shit comes up all the time. People like how do you deal with AI? And it's just like I don't fucking know. Like I feel like AI has kind of topped out at the minute for what it can do. Like what it's doing right now is the best it can do, like right now. Like it's not going to get any better or any more sentient unless somehow someone can put sentience into AI. So I don't know. Like I just feel like don't worry about the shit you make, just make it. And the quicker you make it, the more real it's going to be. Like the more like thought and doubt you put into shit, that's when shit takes forever. And so people think doing AI shit's probably easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, I think it comes with that instant gratification. You have some lyrics, you send them in, you pay whatever the fee is to the AI creator, or however that shit works, and then they make you a song or whatever genre you want the fucking song to be, and
Weird.
all of a sudden it's like, here's your song, and now you might have come up with the lyrics, for that song. I'm not 100% sure how it all comes together, but musically, it's fake. It's just
Yeah.
totally generated through AI. So
Yeah.
I think it loses for me. Being kind of old school, I think it loses something. I'm sure there are platforms where, okay, it's beneficial. I'm not knocking the whole system per se, going, okay, this is the worst fucking thing ever. I'm sure somewhere else, it is beneficial, but I think it sterilizes the process.
I mean, I
It,
think if you're a musician and you want to use AI the best way possible, you need to go into AI and say, hey, can you explain the difference between A towns and B towns for a tour I'm doing? And can you show me the best route to take for a tour that would
right,
be most
right,
inexpensive? That's a great way to make AI work for you.
right,
Like
exactly.
to have a to have AI write your music and like record, like what the fuck? Like that's like what are you doing? Like get a job at McDonald's, dude. Like why are you doing this? Like that's
Hey,
not anything.
they're paying $20 plus an hour for the
Heck
fry
yeah,
guy.
dude. That's even better. Like you'll
That's
be
what I'm
so
talking
much
about.
happier. You'll be
Yeah,
so much happier working at McDonald's than fake being a fucking rock star on
being a
fucking
fake rock
YouTube.
star. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My- and my thing with some of that is, you hear some of the stuff that's really good. Okay, now I would love to hit somebody up and say, okay, I'm coming to a live show. Let me hear this shit live, and that's where it's gonna fall flat. You
Yeah.
Fuck
know,
yeah.
that's where it's gonna fucking, because besides bands that have really good recordings and overdubs and effects, and then they're stale live.
Are there a lot of bands doing that?
The I would say the younger set, for lack of a better term, there's a lot of folks that people that send in stuff and get stuff sent back to them. I got this killer song, I'm like, and they pay whatever it is for the service. There's like and then they send them back a song, and it's all pre-done, and you can get different versions of it or whatever, however the crap works. And I'm like, wow,
Like, I'm sure people like could figure this shit out, but like the first Creepersin album had a lineup, and then that lineup like was dead after the next EP came out. And so Faster Creepersin, that whole album, I had to play all the instruments on, and we recorded that in a weekend.
Wow.
And so like, and when I was doing Murder Cult, like I was putting out a new EP every week, and it would like with Murder Cult, it was like, I'm going to play it was like black metal shit. So it was like, I'm going to play these songs and I'm not going to remember how I played them, and I'm not going to give a shit because I'm capturing the moment on this recording. And so some of the songs are shit and some of the songs are amazing, but it was the whole idea of creation. So the fact that like there are people who are like putting everything, like that just blows my mind that's kind of what the younger scene is
right now. It takes away from the journey of creativity.
For real.
There's instant gratification. You're now a rock star. Okay, and I guess if people don't know any better, they totally live their lives through this fantasy land of social media. Social media is great, and don't get me wrong, and we're certainly use a lot of platforms. It's a really good, but you have to have that balance of social media and reality.
Yeah.
And right now it's kind of askew. It's where's that point where people, really think or start believing that this fantasy land, this bullshit fantasy land, is fucking real. And that's what I think the younger kids, they have a lot of issues with, the little guys, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, just totally fucking zoning out on this shit. And I'd be like,
I guess
I fuck outside,
I mean, people used to give Trent Reznor shit in the early 90s for 9 Inch Nails. So like I could see how, because like now we look at Trent Reznor, he's a fucking genius. Like he's a musical fucking like genius and shit. So like, I mean, I guess I could see how different eras would like look at people and like talk shit on them and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
that's fucking crazy. I can't subscribe to that shit.
Yeah, and again, we came from a different world altogether. So you're not in the mindset of this current generation. So you don't know how they're thinking. And I'm not knocking anything. I'm just saying it's just a different way to exist and view and create and do things, as opposed to when putting a pencil to the paper and write your lyrics and write your stuff down. It's just a different way of doing things. And again, we've thrown this out to a few people and gotten a variety of responses. So I figured, let me throw this on the table and see where it sticks. But
no, dude, you blew my mind right now, dude. I can't fucking believe that. That must be really hard for labels putting comp albums together, because they probably have to be like, you need to sign this thing saying you didn't use any AI generation shit to fucking make your album.
Something. Yeah, something. It's crazy. It is what it is. It is the current world that we live in. And so there's a lot going on with AI. You just have to, well, again, I'm looking at AI from just an artistic level, from a musician or movie or whatever the case is, just a creativity level. AI as far as mapping out stuff or medical or whatever it is, I'm sure there's great applications for it. You know what I'm saying? But from a creativity standpoint, it loses that rawness, it loses the soul, and it loses that anticipation, that build up. The whole idea of sitting down and creating something is now a click of a button. It's like,
Well,
oh,
like I mean,
you
just
know,
think about
so
it. Like if Darby Crash was like, "Oh, I have AI. I could just like make a band that knows how to play instruments. I'm gonna sing songs to this." Like, what the fuck would the germs be, dude?
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, that's
yeah,
fucking insane.
it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, we're getting close to kind of landing the plane. We unless you got another question, Henry, and anything we didn't cover.
Uh, well, we'd love to have you back on again, Matt.
Yeah, for
We've
sure,
also
for
we've
sure.
obviously got a lot more to talk about, so we'll have to get you back on again pretty soon. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Where we always end this with where can people go if they want to find out more about Creeperson or Matt Wall? Like, what platforms can they go to?
Well, I think Creeperson and like my Matt Wall solo shit and everything like that is available everywhere you can stream shit. Like I don't think there's a platform that it's not on. So I think
Okay.
if you just like type it in, it should pop up. As far as me, if you're on YouTube, just go to @MattWall for my YouTube channel. But mattwallart.com is where I have like my like poetry books and my paintings and shit like that. And then there's a bunch of other books on Amazon and shit like that. But yeah, that's kind of where everything is, I think.
Cool. Well, man, it's been great talking with you, man. It's been a pleasure for sure, and we'll have to do this again for
Yeah, whenever you guys want, let me know, man.
definitely, yeah. And we'll
Yeah.
keep it lighthearted this time. We won't delve into the
Oh,
dark
we
side of
will.
life.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about motherfuckers dying and shit.
And boys and girls, be careful with your glow sticks. Don't wind up in a hospital. But no, seriously, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us for sure. And we look forward to doing this again, man. It was a blast for sure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank
Hang
you.
on a second. After we stop this, but I'm gonna go ahead and land the plane. Thank you again, Matt Wall, for being with us, and we're looking forward to next time. And we will see you in the next video.